So then, I finally picked up the Blu-ray version, so now I can actually compare the two films. First, I figured I'd start with comparing the covers. Both kind of take place from very famous scenes in the movie. Obviously, this is here at the bus stop. In here we have about two scenes happening at once. We have the scene where they're growing the trees, and Totoro starts flying away. And we also have the scene where May is chasing the little Totoro. Or at least that's what I think they call these small ones. Now the thing that I find most interesting is that both of them have a quote by Roger Ebert. This is his quote on the VHS. And on the back, we also have the same author. For a fair comparison, here's the back. Both are rated G, and I just love how it reads right here. Contains nothing that would offend parents for viewing by children. I'm not sure if that is a challenge, or if they genuinely mean that. Let's admit it, there's always going to be somebody who's going to be annoyed. And even on the back, there's another quote by Roger Ebert. I hope I'm saying his name right. I'd really hate to mispronounce it. So, the main challenge that faces me comparing these two films is not so much trying to avoid a copyright strike, although that is a big deal actually, but the idea that this is more of a visual film. There's a lot less exposition than there is in the castle of Cagliostro, as well as Nausicaa of the Valley of the Winds. However, I figured I'd take a few good scenes where there's a lot of talking, and I would compare those. Without further ado, let's begin. So the very first thing to mention about both of these films is that both have the same exact intro, both in English, both in the same lyrics. However, I'm kind of convinced that they re-sang the song later in the Disney version with a different singer. It's interesting that they spelled Joe Hisagi, I hope I'm saying that right, J-O instead of J-O-E like they do in the Disney version. So while the credit music and the opening animation may be the same, the interesting thing is with the Disney version, they put the name of the voice actors first, while in the 20th Century Fox version, they put the names of the animators and the directors in the opening. So as the family is about to go into their new home, Satsuki, I hope I'm saying that right, offers a piece of caramel to her sister as well as her father. This is how the scene goes in the 20th Century Fox version.
Daddy! Daddy, you want any caramel candy?
Oh, thank you very much. I would. Anybody tired yet? We're almost there.
Good!
And then this is how the scene plays in the Disney version. I'm using the PlayStation 2 as my DVD player, so I'm still trying to get the interface of this just right.
Hey, Dad, want the caramel?
Thanks. How you doing back there?
Fine.
Are you tired? We're almost there.
Now, both scenes are practically identical. However, you will notice that there is a little bit of a voice change, for obvious reasons, and that May does not thank Nasuke for the caramel. Well, inside the house for the first time, both of the kids discover that there are acorns littered throughout, and this is how they react in the Disney version.
Out of the way, May. I can't close the door with you sitting there.
Acorns! Hey, Dad, acorns are falling from the ceiling. Falling from the ceiling!
Maybe squirrels live here.
Squirrels?
I think rats eat acorns. Maybe they're rats.
No! Squirrels are better!
Mister, where do you want your radio? Oh, right, the radio. In here's good, I guess. Satsuki, will you open the back of the house?
Okay.
Can you find the back door?
Of course.
Push the wrong button again. Alright, so this is how it happened in the 20th Century Fox version.
The house up if you're...
Didn't cue it up just right. There.
May, how am I supposed to open the house up if you're in the way?
Acorns! We found them! And I found a bunch of them right near the back door. And they came from way up. It's true, they came out of the ceiling.
Both say that acorns came out of the ceiling.
Some squirrels must have dropped them.
Squirrels!
Or maybe some other animal, perhaps a rat.
Yeah, but I don't want a dumb rat.
Hey, where am I gonna put it? Just
It's
bring
a
it here.
radio,
I'll
not a
open it
bit.
up for you. Satsuki, go and open the kitchen door.
Hi.
Here you go.
Me, come on. It's funny.
Now that was the main reason I wanted to show the 20th Century Fox version, is because in this one she is named Satsuki instead of Satsuki. I hope I'm pronouncing both of those right, but it could be possible that when both people translated it, maybe they didn't get it right the first time either. While exploring the house, they see some mysterious life forms seem to move really quickly. After a little bit of investigation, the dad comes in to try to clear it up. This is his explanation in the 20th Century Fox release.
Nothing up there. No.
Bathtubs are in there.
We saw something move in there.
A squirrel?
We're not sure. Well, maybe they were cockroaches, but anyway, there were millions of them. Lots of little black things.
Doesn't look like they're hiding in there.
See anything?
Well, I'm pretty sure they were dust bunnies.
You mean real dust bunnies? Look in my picture book.
Dust bunnies make much more sense than ghosts.
Why?
Well, ghosts are a lot harder to see, but when you suddenly move from a lighted room to a dark one, you can't see for a second, and that's when the dust bunnies come out. Got it?
Boy, yeah. Come out. Come out. Come on out. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out.
I don't think they're coming. Oh, there we go. Now, the scene plays a little differently in the Disney version.
Hey, you found the bat.
Dad, something's running around in here.
More squirrels?
I don't think so. They're not bugs or mice either. They were black and they were all over the place.
Well, the bug is a cockroach.
Let's have a look.
It is interesting how close both of these are in terms of translation. But I guess manga had their act better
Well?
together.
It was probably just some soot gremlins.
What do you mean gremlins? Like the ones in my book?
Well, it could be ghosts, but ghosts don't usually like to come out on nice days like this. Normally you can't see soot gremlins, but every once in a while, when you go from a bright place to a dark one, you can catch a glimpse of them.
So that's it.
And then they're gonna ask for them to come out. I think you already knew that part. So it's very interesting that in the Disney version they call them soot gremlins, but in the 20th Century Fox version they call them dust bunnies. I wonder if perhaps that was the more better translation, calling them dust bunnies. However, us as a Western audience, the term dust bunny means you haven't cleaned your house in a while, and they're not meant to be alive. However, soot gremlin kinda has more of a mythical property to it. Now this one is a little bit more of a subtle scene. I just figured I'd show this off just to kind of show how different these dubs are, but at the same time how similar. So, both of the sisters are able to make it to the attic just fine, where it seems like they find a whole more bunch of, I was about to say dust gremlins, but that's not it. It's soot gremlins and it's dust bunnies in the other version. So in the 20th Century Fox version, they open up the window, and then this is how they report to their dad about it.
There.
That's it. Easy. Slowly.
Guess what? Something's really living upstairs after all.
That's wonderful. Good for you. I've always wanted to have a haunted house. It's been my lifelong dream.
Careful. Ooh.
That doesn't sound good. And this is how the scene plays out in the Disney version.
Dad, come here. There's definitely something weird in this house.
That's great. wanted to live in a haunted house ever since I was a little boy.
Instead of your whole life. Very similar sentiment, but both tell it in a very different way. After that little episode in the attic, they are greeted by one of their neighbors. In the 20th Century Fox version, she is nicknamed Nanny. In the Disney version, she is nicknamed Granny. Similar, but yet different at the same time. During her visit, she gives a little explanation as to these weird creatures that are roaming throughout the house. This is how it's done in the 20th Century Fox version.
A couple of fine kids.
May, there's nothing to be frightened about. Nanny's the lady who has the farm next door. She came over to help us out.
What a ball of energy.
Girls, this is our new neighbor. She
Instead of
takes
being
care
young.
of this house. She said you two can call her Granny if you'd like.
Nanny, this is May, my sister. And I'm Satsuki.
Very pleased to meet both of you.
I'm Satsuki, and that's May. Nice to meet you.
Different
Well,
names.
nice to meet you too. What nice manners you have. I'm sorry I didn't have time to clean up a bit more before you got here. If I had known what a big hurry you were in to move, I would have cleaned the house up a bit.
Nanny, you've done so much already. It really isn't necessary.
Well, you know how it is. I've been so
She called
busy
one of the
in
dust
rice
bunnies, and that's
paddy.
why she's filthy.
Oh my gosh, how did you get all that black on you? I had a dust bunny right in my hand.
That's still the
Oh, it's
same.
fine.
We've been very busy in the rice fields, but I did manage to keep the place well dusted, as you can see.
I like how both have
May,
this
your hands are
background
filthy.
conversation.
What on earth did you do? I caught it up
Seemed
when
like they
somebody got
stopped
away.
here.
Ah, your feet.
It appears the soot sprites are hard at work.
What are they? You mean
They
those
have
black
the
little
word
fuzzy
soot.
things that fly around the house and disappear upstairs?
Yes, they breed in very old empty houses, building invisible nests and turning everything into dust. You've got soot sprites in your house.
The
Same
sprites,
name for both.
The black puffballs, about this big, and they scurry everywhere when you enter a room.
That's right.
Same description.
They live in old empty houses.
Instead of
They run
breeding.
all over the place, covering everything with dirt. I could see them too when I was a very small child.
Instead
I
of
used
dust.
to be able to see them when I was your age.
It couldn't have been a spirit, could it?
If they're not sprites, then you have nothing to be frightened about.
Huh?
If we all keep smiling, the sprites may gradually go away and leave this place alone.
So they're a kind of ghost then?
Don't worry, dear. They're nothing to be afraid of. If they decide you're nice people, they won't harm you. And after a while, they just go away.
It's a bit more ominous in the Disney version. It seems like, unless they choose them worthy, they might
That man,
kill
they're
them.
gonna move out.
Now for this scene, the house is being ravaged by a big windstorm. It holds together, but it still leaves both the daughters quite afraid. So the dad, being the cleverer father that he is, shows them how to not be afraid. Both scenes play out similarly, but very differently at the same time. This is the Disney version.
Dad, this house is too old. I think it's gonna fall down.
That would be a problem since we just moved in here.
Certainly sounds like it. Seems like even he's getting a little nervous. Of course, with that much rattling, are you kidding me?
Everybody try laughing. Then whatever scares you will go away.
But Dad, I'm not scared. What?
Doesn't
I'm
hurt
not-
anyway. You can tell they must have had fun recording this part. But this is how it plays out in the 20th Century Fox version.
Daddy, I'm scared the wind's gonna make the house fall down.
Maybe it will, but I hope not because we just moved in.
Huh?
very similar sentiment, but different in its delivery. Both seem to have a sound of an owl, and that's what scares her away.
Hey, come on, what are you waiting for? You have to laugh loud to scare a spirit.
I'm not scared at all.
So the laughing seems to continue a little further in this one. That's a pretty big change right there. It's very interesting how in the 20th Century Fox version, the laughing is more to try to scare away whatever evil spirits the daughters might have seen. However, in the Disney version, it seemed more about just trying to keep them courageous rather than afraid of this storm. So this is another one of those little subtle scenes. So obviously both have a different voice for May and Totoro. I just wanted to show you the differences when they first encounter each other. So this is how it sounds in the 20th Century Fox version.
Tell me who you are. Are you a big dust bunny? Who are you? A great big soot gremlin?
Something I like more about the Totoro of the 20th Century Fox version myself.
Totoro? Is that what your name is? Totoro? Totoro? That's it! I bet your name's Totoro, isn't it?
I still have no idea how she came to that conclusion.
So you're really a Totoro? Yep, that's your name, alright.
So just a little bit of a background before we start into the scene. The mother of the family is deathly ill. I think it's been kind of mentioned that she either has cancer or some other major illness, that she has to stay at the hospital for a very long time. However, the family decides to visit her. This is how the visit goes in the 20th Century Fox release.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Mommy!
My love, I'm so happy to see you.
Daddy took the wrong road and we had to come back another way.
Well, hi May, it's so good to see you.
Daddy kept getting lost the whole way here, Mom.
He did. Don't be shy.
We got off today from school.
Wonderful.
Mommy, Daddy told me to tell you he'll be here.
He's probably speaking to the doctor, May. No school?
Seems about the same
No,
so
it's a
far.
rice planting day.
Oh, is that so?
Different
Hey, Mom,
explanation.
Dad's talking to the doc.
I am so happy to see you girls. It's so good to be able to see you all. Please tell me about the new house. Do you like it?
Yeah.
You mean they live upstairs?
You like spirits, Mommy? Even fuzzy ones?
Of course. I wish I could go home with you and see them right away.
You were right, May. Mm-hmm.
So how do you like it in the country? Have you settled in?
Yeah.
Hmm? A haunted house?
Mommy, do you like haunted houses?
Of course. I'll have to get better soon so I can meet some ghosts.
See that, May? Mm-hmm. We thought you might not be too happy about the house being filled with spooks.
Are you happy with them?
Yep. And I'm not afraid of them all.
I feel like that line hasn't aged too well.
Don't tell me you fixed May's ponytails by yourself.
Mm-hmm. May was worried that you wouldn't want to come home if the house was haunted.
Maybe it's a cultural thing, but I find it interesting that they
I'm not scared
like
at
the
all.
spirits here.
Oh, what cute hair. Did you do this, Satsuki?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you let me brush your hair for a minute?
I'm glad you let me keep it short. I want mine short too. Only when you're my age, May.
It isn't a little too short.
No, I like it this way, Mom. Brush my hair, brush mine. Wait your turn, May.
Your hair will never cooperate. It's exactly like my hair when I was your age. Satsuki, you have wire for hair. As stubborn as mine was when I was a small girl.
Do you think it'll start cooperating soon? I want it to look
Seemed
just
like she was a lot more hopeful in the 20th Century Fox release.
You and I are a lot alike, Satsuki.
This is another one of those subtle things I want to show. So basically, both of the sisters are caught in the rain with no way to keep dry, so they hide underneath an idol until the rain passes by. Luckily, one of the neighbor kids has an umbrella. However, he's still afraid to admit that he kind of likes him.
Thanks.
This is how the scene plays out in the Disney version.
Huh?
It just seems a little more cartoony how they added all these grunts that were taken away from the 20th Century Fox version. I feel like that was always one of the biggest drives when it comes to Miyazaki's work. It's the idea that it's anime, but yet it's a little more realistic. And those little mumblings just kind of go back to what some people hate about stereotypical anime. This next scene happens a lot further down in the movie. Essentially, they received a telegram that says that the dad needs to call the hospital that the mom is staying in. The kids fear the worst and try to contact him. This is how they contact him in the 20th Century Fox release.
Hello? Operator, I'd like to make a long-distance call, please. It's very important. It's number 1354 at Station 12. Yes. Thank you very much. Your friend is very pretty. What lovely hair. Hello? I'd like to place a long-distance call, please. It's to my dad at Tokyo 311382. Right.
Now that's a nice girl. Hey, Conta.
Hello? Yes. Can you put me through to the main lecture room of the anthropology school? To Professor Kusakabe, please hurry. Yes, I'm his daughter.
It could be me, but I feel like she seems a lot less concerned here.
Hello? I need to speak to my dad in the archaeology department. I need to speak to Mr. Kusakabe. My name is Satsuki Kusakabe.
Both in archaeology. However, they go to a different
Hello,
school,
Dad,
it
is that
seems.
you? It's Satsuki. It was from the hospital, Daddy. I'm so worried.
Whoa, slow down. From the hospital? Oh, okay, it's all right. I think I understand. Now, I'm going to call the hospital.
What's happened to Mommy? Tell me everything's gonna be all right.
There's no need to worry. I'm going to check with the hospital and call you right back, okay? Okay?
Uh-huh.
You stay where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hanging up now, so you stay right there. Satsuki, what's wrong?
I got a telegram. You're supposed to come up doctor at the hospital.
What? The hospital? Okay, I'll call them right away.
Did something happen to her, Dad? Do you think she's okay?
Let's not worry. I'll call the hospital and then I'll call you right back, okay?
Yeah.
Just wait by the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I need to hang up now, okay?
He'll be calling back, so is it all right if I stay right here by the telephone and wait? You take all the time you need.
Let me see if I can fix that television buzzing out before I show the Disney version. It's usually the power cord in the back that gives me problems. Just like magic.
Excuse me. Is it okay if I wait here? My dad said he's gonna call me back.
Of course. Make yourself at home.
It's interesting that both versions have the father really trying to make sure that she's in a calm state. However, I find it interesting how in the Disney version, he wants her to wait there and he'll call her back. In the 20th Century Fox release, it's more about her staying in one place so she doesn't run off from whatever news he may tell her. Now the next scene I'm going to show is the fallout from the phone call. For the 20th Century Fox release,
May, the hospital said that Mommy's condition isn't very good, so she isn't going to be coming home just yet. But why? make it worse.
It was not! Doctor said that Mom's not doing well, so she doesn't get to come home this weekend. No fair! It can't be helped, May. What if she came home early and it made her even worse? It's not fair!
But she'll be able to come home real soon.
No!
All right, then be that way. Let's see if she dies.
No!
Don't be dumb, May. Oh, I give up. You're so stupid.
That's cold. Now, this is how the Disney version handles it.
May, we just have to wait a little longer. No! You want her to die, May? Is that what you want? No! You're such a baby. Just grow up.
Now that's probably the bigger question. Which is the bigger insult? Calling her a baby or calling her an idiot? I feel like calling her an idiot is far more hurtful than calling her a baby because she's still 4 years old. She still has a lot of growing up to do. Now it's very interesting that both mention the idea that if the mother were to come home early, that she would end up dying because of it. I figure that'll be the last thing I will compare. I could probably do the whole movie, but I feel like I'm pushing it by showing as many scenes as I have already. And plus, most are just kind of subtle things, because, as I said, this movie is more about the scenery rather than, say, the characters or really intense dialogue. Well, except for maybe that one scene, that's pretty intense dialogue. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little video, and perhaps if there's a scene I didn't cover that you would like to see, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Until next time, keep having fun.